Oh, hello friend. I was just practicing my hand-eye coordination with a little lime toss. Today I'm gonna make you a couple of mules, not one, but two, because you're an ass. Ha! You see what I did there? Mule, ass, couldn't help myself. It's a pun, okay? I'm my uncle now, I pun. I'm gonna make you first the classic Moscow mule, which was invented in 1941 by a couple of gentlemen that were looking to move some product, if you know what I mean. The nice thing about this little cocktail is that it is billed in glass. So we're going to add 2 ounces. That wasn't enough. That's okay. I wanted to use both sides of my jigger just to dazzle you with my dexterity, you know how it is. And then we're gonna add in 3 ounces of ginger beer, non-alcoholic ginger beer, okay? We're not looking to end up on the floor. But the gentlemen were, Nathan's gonna cue me with their names because, there we go. John Martin, who was working in marketing for Smirnoff at the time, which was new to America in 1941. He was like, I need to move some vodka. These Americans, they don't know anything about the vodka, so we gotta move the vodka. And then he was having drinks at the bar at the Cock and Bull pub with its proprietor, Jack Morgan. And he had a big stash of ginger beer, and he's like, I need to deplete this stash of ginger beer. It is collecting dust, and I'm sick of seeing it. So the two of them hatched a master plan, like, why don't we mind meld? Why don't we combine the Smirnoff vodka with the ginger beer, just a splash of lime, and people will love it. But the origin story of this Moscow Mule mug, the famous and identifiable copper mug, is the history of this and where it came from is a little bit more murky, but it's possible. One running theory is that a woman named Sophie Berezinski, a Russian woman whose family owned a copper manufacturing company, sales were flagging with the copper, and they were like, you know what? Go off to America and sell the copper. How it ended up on the bars, who knows, but they did make their way to the Cock and Bull pub, and our friend Jack, he was like, we're gonna put this new concoction in this fancy pants copper mug so that it's all the more identifiable for patrons that are drinking it. And John, being the marketeer from Smirnoff, said, okay, well, let's run with that. Why don't we just give everyone a Moscow Mule in this fancy little copper mug, and we'll take pictures of them with our Polaroid, which at the time was a new technology. We're spanking our kinky mint, as always. And then we're gonna garnish with a lime wheel as well. And so then they took pictures of bartenders and patrons drinking their Moscow Mule out of the copper mug. They took one and they put it in a little binder that John would take on his little road show going around America trying to shill Smirnoff vodka. And then the other one he would leave at the bar. So then the bar at Cock and Bull pub was like plastered with Polaroids of people drinking out of a copper mug and having a Moscow Mule with a bottle of Smirnoff beside it. Basically, like olden days influencers, that's what they did. It smells so nice, it's very refreshing, it's a very easy to make cocktail. It's so good, it's a very simple cocktail as you saw, very easy to make, but it's very fresh, refreshing with that little nose flavor from the mint. I'm also gonna make you a different style of mule, which is inspired by a trip my boyfriend and I took to Prague last year. We're using the Czech Republic's oldest spirit, originally distilled in 1806. We have Becherovka, which is an herbal liqueur, but we're going to use a very similar formula to our Moscow Mule to create the Czech Mule. So we were in the Czech Republic, we're staying in this very fancy pants hotel. We're very fortunate to be able to do so. And we decided on the last day in Prague that we should have a couples massage. So we go down, we book one at the fancy spa. You go in and it's the kind of place where you feel like you have to be a classier version of yourself to even walk in there. It smells absolutely divine. I'm gonna add my ice, and I'm gonna add my 3 ounces of ginger beer once more. We're gonna give it a stir. And we go down there and everyone sort of speaks in hushed tones, which is an indicator that you're not sophisticated enough to be there and speak at your normal outdoor voice sounds. And so we go down there and we're very, we're seated. They give us some sort of fancy herbal tea. It smells like ambrosia. And then they say, okay, well, go into your respective change rooms and like slip into the underwear provided, because you're supposed to be, you know, nude and have most of your body accessible for the masseurs to do their work, to palpate you thoroughly. And so, you know, I go into the change room, I find a little dainty plastic bag with like a piece of underwear that I would describe as white tissue paper with a thin rope kind of holding it all together. The structural integrity of this garment is questionable, to say the least. So anyway, I go out and then rejoin my boyfriend. He's sort of wearing this weird look on his face, and I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on with him. He's acting sort of weird. Our female and male massage therapists come to fetch us from the sitting room, bring us into the massage room, and they say, okay, so what scent would you like to be massaged with today? We've got lavender, we've got eucalyptus. We're gonna let you get comfortable. Just disrobe and lay down and tuck yourself into the blanket. So we do that, you know, you know, they leave the room, and then my boyfriend turns to me and he's like, am I wearing this right? And he opens the kimono, and he is wearing his tissue paper thong backwards. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen male genitalia or familiar with the concept of male genitalia, but there's some external parts there, you know, and he could have spat in one side and wished in the other and had about the same outcome, but he was really letting it all hang out. And he's like, am I wearing this right? And I am stifling my cackles as like the spa music with the gong is going on in the background, and I'm trying to be serious. And this is delicious. He steps out of it and then puts it on the other way, and it's easily quite scanty. But then the entire time we're having this massage and these people are rubbing us down, I am desperately trying not to cackle. And so we're just in our little gotchis, and we just gingerly sit down in the steam room for about 30 seconds, and then we get immediately deeply uncomfortable, because like, what if someone came in and saw that we were wearing tissue paper for underwear? It's a little bit awkward. It's a little bit awkward. But highly recommend Prague and the Czech Mules. So if you're booking your next travel adventures, follow me for more inspiration.